All right. Welcome. How's everybody doing today? Happy Wednesday in isolation, lockdown, whatever business you're doing. So we're starting on a new mannequin. So we've got long hair, and I wanted to kind of explore round layering. So I'm going to show you a few different variations and options that you can do to achieve this particular haircut shape. So very salon friendly, adaptable to what you would do every day in the salon. What's up, Nicole? How you doing? All the way out there in Germany. All right, so are you ready?
You ready?
So me's a pirate now.
This is my brand.
This is me's latest obsession. Here we go. All right, darling, you do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's explain it. Let's talk about what we're doing. So we're gonna do round layers, and me come over here.
Mm-hmm.
Round layers, guys, means that it is a lighter shape in the front and heavier shape in the back. So when we look at the distribution of weight from front to back, it actually descends, it drops off towards the center back there. So what a round shape does, basically, is short hair pushes long hair, right? So what it will do is it will push this open. So it'll open the face a lot more. So it exposes a lot more on the face. So round layers is really good for that kind of result if that's what you're after. Now keep in mind, when you open up this, you can see everything here. So if there's something that person doesn't really like, they're very conscious about, maybe round layering is not your best option, maybe triangular layering, which pushes the weight the opposite way, would be a good option. So we'll explore that on the next class, but today we're doing round, so we're going to make sure it gets heavier towards the back. So let's see, where am I going to start? I'm going to start on this side. Come on over, babe.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've done, guys, is I've sectioned at the apex, not too close, darling, they need to be able to see where the head is, there we are, down to the mastoid right behind the ear right there. So, you know, when you put the comb on the head, it actually touches all the way through that round of the head. So I'm utilizing head shape like I always do. So let's just have a look what's going on already. I've not done anything in this mannequin yet, so it's brand new. I just want to see what kind of lengths we've got going on in here. Yeah, so the first approach is, I'm going to come at it a very classic way that I was taught to begin with, and that is to work with vertical diagonal back sections to begin with. We're going to put the length in through the front, kind of like a face framing layer situation. So I'm going to bring this hair forward. So basically from that parting, I'm going T from that parting, so parallel to this, pulling it perpendicular. So this is where you're going to establish whatever kind of length you're wanting, and then obviously to whatever kind of length in your face frame that you want. So I'm just having a look at where her natural length is to begin with. You see that, me? Pull out a bit, please. So that's what we're dealing with for now. So we're going to bring that up a little bit. And I'm going to cut a line that works into shorter towards the parting. So I'm putting my face framing layer in around the perimeter. Now my elevation is basically just straight off that part of the head shape. I'm not pulling it super low. Now if I did pull it low, all it means is I just make that line heavier. I make this thicker. So the higher elevation, the softer this will fall. So you can see I've got my face framing layer around the front there. So I went for like mid-neck kind of area. I don't really like to go from the chin when the hair is quite long. What's up, babe?
Is this round concave?
Right now it's round concave layers, yeah. So all I'm doing right now is I've just pulled my first section forward. So if you're just joining us, guys, today we're exploring round layering. Long round layering, so in kind of a salon friendly take on the shape. And I'm just putting my face framing layer outline section in to begin with. And I've done that by pulling everything forward. So now I can see what's going on with that. So now what a lot of people tend to do is continue working the same sections and pull everything forward onto that first section. So really you're only going to layer this front piece and you're going to leave this very heavy. So if you're working on someone that's got finer hair, that's probably a good option because you don't really want to take too much of the weight away. But I want to actually come through and layer this consistently all the way through. So I'm now going to use this as a guide. And I'm going to work my sections back to here. And I'm just going to over direct forward into this section. So now I'm utilizing the elevation within that to see that. And you can see that that line basically is short to long. I don't mean in the sense of this being short and this being longer. This hair being shorter and this being longer. See the difference? So proper concave. So I'm now going to use that as a guide. So if I don't want too much layers, if I want to keep it just mainly around the front, I'll pull mostly everything into that first section. So it'll only layer the front perimeter, i.e. the face frame. How's everyone doing? Yeah.
Would you use a natural part?
Yeah, I would if I was working on a human being. I'd be working on whatever parting they're going to wear this with. And I would have to adjust accordingly based on where that parting is.
So then your elevation is controlled by over direction?
My elevation is controlled by basically where I lift to now. My over direction is to move the hair forward. Guys, remember, elevation is to lift the hair up and down. Over direction is to push the hair backwards or forwards or pull the hair.
Can you do this with a traveling guide if you want it lighter in the back?
So if you watch what I'm going to do, that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm not going to pull everything forward onto number one. I'm going to travel throughout the haircut. So there's my guide. Now if you move over here, you can see the over direction. I'm pretty sure I'm pushing number two into number one. So the mirror would be awesome in this situation. we are in lockdown, so it's all the way over there.
This very far mirror. Oh, someone said, can you turn it around to see Bird? She's being fluffy, cleaning herself.
Oops. Slide came off.
Ooh, uh-oh.
So,
Fashion police.
number two. So now I'm going to continue and work number three. So my sections are vertical, diagonal, back. And I'm working back to the apex and to the mastoid. And I'm only going to use my previous section, so I don't need number one. I'm going to get rid of number one. And I'm going to bring number three into two. So, ideal positioning, I need to look in the mirror over there. I can see now that this section is being pushed forward into my previous. And that's how you're going to stay in control of your haircuts, guys, is by using your mirror.
Which for us is very far.
Too far, but whatever, it works.
It works.
So concave layer, So what that means vertically, it doesn't follow the head shape. So I've got shorter hair on the inside, longer hair on the exterior. So if I wanted more of an extreme concave, then I would have used a different angle when I did the face frame, so it gave me more of this. So continuing. Again, I only want my previous section. I don't need 1 and 2, we just need 3 and 4 now. And I'm pushing 4, come over here babe, so they can see that side view, into 3. See, I use the mirror and now I can see I was using too much.
Someone said your daughter's beautiful, and then somebody said, "Aw, birdie." So cute, love your sidekick, me. He's more of the sidekick. I'm just kidding.
That's funny. Getting lots of compliments on your filming. Everybody gets to see us do some stuff together, which is really nice.
When I turned the camera around, she was snuggling my cheek, and everyone now is like heart emojis for Angel.
So I'm cross-checking. I'm checking that over direction forward into the previous. I'm going to check that all the way through, lifting straight up to the ceiling. I can see that's happening. So again, if you're just joining us, we are working on longer round layered hair. It's quite I'm going to say it's probably the most popular haircut on the planet, because it has so many different kind of options and different lengths that people associate it with certain trends. So for right now, this is your quintessential long round concave layer. If we move this any shorter, moving into this territory, then it's a shag. If we go any closer, then it's a mullet. So it's a round layer, and it has quite a lot of use in our industry. So what I've showed you right here is to actually work through and over direct forward. Instead of pulling everything forward onto number 1, we've used the previous, and it's got more of a layer on the inside now. So now we're going to continue into the back area.
He's the foosball master. Every time we get something about the foosball table, you're really good at foosball.
I wish we had a pool table.
I know. How's the doxy with the bird? Just curious. Oh, he's fine.
Actually.
And she is too.
He got a bit like freaked out at first, like, because he didn't know what was going on.
If anything, he'd be scared of her.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got no teeth, so he's got he's no danger to her. So now moving into the back, guys, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. My sections are still parallel, and I'm pushing forward into that previous section. So I'm using the mirror to notice that I am pulling it in the right spot.
Why are you doing vertical versus pivoting?
Not pivoting yet. I will pivot shortly as I get into the crown. I'm showing you different alternatives. I've been showing you a lot of different ways to do haircuts, so I thought it would be nice to show you like round layering and not do it the standard way that everybody does it all the time. And yeah, just give you some options. So now moving into this back area, just need my previous section. Don't need any of that anymore.
Someone said, I want to play foosball with DJ, no spinning.
So let's clip this out of the way so it's not bothering.
There are people that have dachshunds as well. Someone said my dachshund would go bananas if I brought home a bird.
Yeah.
He's just so old that he probably doesn't care.
He's more obsessed with Mimi.
But if he was like a puppy, oh.
Yeah. Or I think Bojangles would have been all over the bird, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, let's keep going. So again, I'm going to bring into the previous section. So I've actually reached the round of the head now, so my sections will have to pivot through for me to keep them same angle and the same consistency. So again, I'm going to use the mirror, Mimi. Cause
Oh, yes.
it's helping me actually.
I love the
So
farmer.
I'm pushing forward into the previous section. Have a look in the mirror, making sure that's happening. And then again, following that layer through. So, you know, this side is heavily concaved. And I'm using the forward over direction so that it gets heavier towards the back. That would be a round shape. Come over here, babes.
Would you clip the hair away similarly in a salon setting?
Would I clip the... Yeah, I think it's really important that you stay clean. Because if you don't clip this away, then you're going to start to use unnecessary over direction into that area. So I only want to isolate what I need. This is a very quick haircut, to be honest with you guys. It's a round layer. It's that one haircut that you do all the time. But I wanted to show you some different ways than just the two standard ways that everybody does this.
Would you use clips as much in the salon as at all?
Yes, I would. Again, like I said before, guys, it's all about cleanliness. So if I don't use clips, then it gets really messy. Then it ends up a really crappy haircut.
Can we get a recap?
Recap, we're doing round concave layers. I've started in the front with a vertical diagonal back section, and what I did is I put my face framing layer in there. So working from a length down here, can they see? Yeah, all the way up through. And instead of me pulling everything forward onto that, which would leave it super heavy, and if you want it heavy, that's your option, right? But I wanted it to be more layered on the inside, not just through the front. So then I literally used this elevation up to the ceiling. I saw what line I'd cut. And then what I've been doing is I've been over-directing sections forward into the previous. And that's where we're at right now. We're at the natural round of the head. And I'm pushing this one forward into that. Come over here. So they can see the over-direction.
What is, is this the most, like, done or used haircut in your salon?
In my salon?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're in California. You know, everybody and their mom has this look. They have done for the last 40 plus years. Almost, 50 years. You know, ever since Farrah Fawcett did the shag to her hair, round layers became very popular.
Would you cut the base at the end?
Yes, I'm going to cut the outline more at the end. I'm not really bothered. I know that I want the hair to be long. So I'm protecting all of the mannequin's length to it for right now. Going to get the most out of her for what she has. So again, I'm pivoting with the haircut now, and I'm still pushing forward into that previous section. So what's happening is the flow of weight is descending from front towards the back. So that's actually this when you look at it horizontally. It's a round shape. So I'm on the last section now. I'm going to clip away all of this. I know a lot of people probably don't need to use clips. If you don't want to, don't. It's entirely up to you. I'm just showing you what I do. So now this last one goes into this one. So you can see I've worked all the way around from front to back. Just working on some round concave layers.
Will you be matching sides today?
No, we're going to do different things. I want to show you different options. I'd just do the same thing on the other side. You've already seen that, so let's have a look. All right. So I can see my round outline that's happened as well. It's getting heavier towards the back. So when we did the front hair, we cross-checked through. I'm going to cross-check through the same way. What's up, me?
I just thought this was kind of nice. It says, you break everything down, so well that it makes it much easier to learn.
Thank you, that's very nice of you. It's practice. It's also a really good training. So I'm cross-checking through the opposite angle of what we've done. And when I look through, I can see my line getting heavier towards the back. And that's because I over-directed each section forward. So whatever line you see up here, guys, that's how it's going to fall. So it's going to be heavier towards the back, shorter towards the front. So a nice round flow to that.
If you want to maintain more length, would you just adjust your finger position to over direct more?
You mean to elevate more, not to over direct. Over direct is to push hair forwards or backwards. I would elevate higher and I'd cut more of an angle. But as you can see, look how long this is. This is going to be in this region. This is like my length, so on the longer side. So let's go to the other side and now work a completely different way. So I worked this way on the other side. Now I'm going to work this way. So I'm going to use this side as a guide because it's already there. I've already established that round shape on my previous side. So I'm going to use it as a guide to start with. So on this side, I'm using horizontal sectioning. Come over here, babe. More on this angle. So I'm going to use horizontal sectioning all the way down to the hairline. And I'm going to elevate the hair up. I want it to get longer towards the outline, heavier, right? So I'm going to pull away from what I want to keep. So in this case, I'm going to push the hair up. So, oh, that was cute.
Hello.
So I have options. Depending on how steep I want that angle to be around the face, depending on how steep I want the angle of my layer on the inside, that's going to be where I elevate to. So I'm going to do get the guide from the previous side to begin with. And there it is.
What's the difference? What difference would pivoting versus vertical look like different? Would it look different?
The pivoting I like because it's more fluid. I love the fact that it's truly round. You're working with all the rounds of the head shape and using the over directions. It just does a little something a bit different there, I feel. So, but what I would say to you guys is try all these different ways and mix it up. Then you'll start to see what the differences are for you. So here's my options now. The most amount of elevation I can use right now is to bring everything into number one. So I'm going to bring 2 into 1. What's up?
We do save the lives, and I thought this was really sweet too. When I was doing Sassoon post-graduation in London, I used to go home and go through your videos from the factory. I think it really helped me a lot.
That's very nice of you, thank you. Obviously, my background is Sassoon, so any video I've ever made is extremely influenced by all of that, and you know, having been one of the helping or co-authors of a lot of that curriculum at Sassoon, I'm sure it relates. So all I'm doing now is I'm just bringing everything into number 1. That's the most amount of elevation that I can use. Notice how I corrected myself. I almost said over direction because technically it's not over direction. It's elevation. I'm lifting something up and down. Over direction is to move hair backwards and forwards.
Is concave always is the concave always centers above the parting? Always center above, I guess. Centers. Like, okay, I'm gonna say, does concave always center above the parting?
I'm not quite sure what that means. Concave just means it's shorter on the inside and it's longer towards the exterior. So come over here, me. Mm-hmm. That's concave, right? This is convex. This is following head shape. So as soon as it does that, it's concave. And I can go all the way up to that for it to be concave, and I could protect all of the length that would reach to that. But I could take the inside this short. That's concave. And it doesn't matter where the parting is, it's shortest at the parting, longest towards the exterior. So hopefully I think I answered that there for you. I was just confused about how you wrote that down.
Will this be the same outcome on both sides?
No. I've brought everything literally into the middle on this side. So it's a bit heavier. Because if you remember when I did this side, I pulled everything, well, I pulled my first section forward and I put what desired face frame I wanted in there. And then when I lifted that up, it actually was flat. So more of a flatter concave. So kind of like the ceiling. Whereas this side is going to have a little bit. Let's see if it does. Not much, but you see how much difference that is? So I've got a different angle, whereas on this side, it's much flatter.
Is the parting always the shortest part?
Yeah, in concave. In this particular one as well. Convex, it'll all be the same length. So every strand of hair vertically is the same. That's convex. It follows the curvature. So as soon as I change that line from this to that means that's longer than any of this in here. So then it can go all the way up, 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 up. So it's like liposuction, that's what concave is. So this side I elevated everything into number one, so I've got a heavier concave on this side than I do on the other. Are you watching? So now I can take that into the back. So there's several options. If I want, I could use this as the guide, and I could go through exactly like I did on the other side and just bring forward into the previous and work all the way through, right? I could pivot immediately from that if I wanted to, or I could just continue the sections into the back, which is probably the most common sense way of doing it, right?
So this is better for finer hair?
I would say you want to try and avoid concave layers when you're working on fine hair. Layering techniques are good for people that have like a decent amount of density. Graduation is for the fine hair people. Now, if you are wanting to have the layer around the face, around the front, like a face frame, then by all means, just do the face frame and over-direct everything forward onto this, because then it will leave this heavier and thicker. But you really want to avoid layering fine hair. That's why we have all of these different options. So I'm going to use the other side as a guide. I'm going to take this through. Come over here, babe, and use the screen. You're looking at me through your eyes instead of the camera.
She's doing her feathers.
So keep going. All the way back.
Well, you're cutting hair and she's like cleaning her feathers.
Can you see that? Yeah? Good. So whatever reaches up to the ceiling there. And so in this front panel I brought everything into number one, so I'm going to be doing the same in the back, but I don't need all of that, so we're going to get that out of the way. So moving into number two. Come over here, babe.
Mm-hmm.
There we go, right there. Like this view.
Like this? Perfect.
Maybe a bit far away.
Mm-hmm.
Further, not far away. Everything's going into number one that reaches.
She's hiding underneath my hair.
Can you see that? Maybe come over here.
Yeah.
Last section,
I'm thinking-
everything's going into the middle.
I'm thinking
That
this is a
reaches.
better angle, because then this arm isn't blocking
Okay,
it.
good. Like so.
That's a lot better. Fine hair would collapse with this haircut.
This fine hair would just become too transparent and see-through. It's already fine. So the last thing you want to do to fine hair is remove more of it. Layering is a removal of weight. It's demolition. It deconstructs something. Whereas graduation is to construct. It builds. So you wouldn't necessarily want to do this on anyone that's got fine hair because it's too heavily layered.
If you wanted it to be the same angle, concave as the other side, would you have a
Lifted it straight up to the ceiling.
I was gonna say, would you have a traveling guide until the round of the head, and then that would be stationary?
None of it would be traveling, guys, because then that would be just to pull straight out from the head. It would just be lifted straight up to the ceiling on both sides. So that would give me the same balance, because remember this side? Come over here, me. Got a bit of a tangle in it, that. So let me show you. This side has a much more straight up to the ceiling kind of a vibe, doesn't it? Because that is that. Whereas this side has got more of an angle. That's because I pushed everything into the middle. So when you want more control over that, it's probably best to do it this way than it would be to do the face frame first and then layer from it. Because even though I had a nice sharp angle from short to long, it doesn't really do that when you lift it up to the ceiling. So if I want this to be the same as this, I would just take these sections and lift them straight up to the ceiling. I wouldn't bring anything to the middle. Remember, pull away from what you want to keep. So if I pull everything to the middle, that's the most heaviest it's going to be. If I bring up to the ceiling, that's going to be that happy medium. It's kind of like when we talked about over direction, guys. Remember when we talked about bringing everything to the middle and she's going to want to speak to the manager?
That's
right?
Because
it's so steep. Or you could pull straight back to the wall behind the mannequin, and then that flow of weight's going to be really nice from back to front. It's the same thing up here. I'm almost doing the same kind of thing. But that's the back wall now, the ceiling. So many options you could do. I could actually even follow the head shape around until I get to the round of the head. So my layer could do that. And then tail off to get heavier. So my concave is not as strong. So you've got to figure out what level of extreme you want with it. Again, you control it.
So someone said, very interesting. I wish I had a video of you saying this so many times, saying this so many of my fine hair clients went layers and kept telling me that's not conducive to make the hair look any thicker.
No, I mean, it's kind of common sense, isn't it?
Removing
Take
weight.
hair that's not much there and remove more weight. That's like being skinny and losing even more weight. You know what I mean? You probably want to gain a bit of weight to kind of balance it out, but that's a whole other thing. All right, so let's do my favorite. We'll just adjust the shape of these.
You don't even need like a metaphor for it. Like literally just hair, and then you take away hair.
Mm-hmm. So we're staying on round layers. What's up?
Iris says concavey.
Concavey and convexy.
She's never been on that shoulder.
So again, I've showed a few variations on putting in round concave layers. That very popular haircut that we all tend to do. Now, when you pull everything forward onto that first section, it just leaves it super heavy back here. So that's why I wanted to show you two variations that actually layer through here as well. It's not just this through the front. So one of my ultimate favourite ways to do a round layer is to actually do the whole pivoting situation. I've shown it briefly when we first started doing these, so that was weeks ago now. So I'm going to go through it technically, and I'm going to do both sides. Everyone good? So let's do it. So the whole idea is to work from the apex. The apex is the first round of the head from the hairline. It's just like the occipital is the first round of the head from the hairline in the back. These two are connected, and I explained that the other day when we did the different haircut. Here is here, we did the same thing. So with that being the first round of the head, that's when the head shape changes completely direction in what it's doing. So I'm going to work from that point. So I'm going to pivot off that point. So every section that I take, can you do an aerial view?
Yeah.
Is going to pivot off that point in the center there. All right.
High up. I can see it
Well,
now.
now you can do normal. So proper round layering. This is the one I really like because it's super fluid. So my first section off of that central point. And I'm going to pull that. Come over here, you'll see it much better. Just the angle of what I'm doing. So it's going to stay in that round category, guys. I'm going to cut what we've been doing all tutorial, but I'm just going to go a bit shorter. And I'm cutting a line that follows the curvature of the head shape. So it rounds down with this part of the head shape. So immediately you're customizing it to the individual because everybody's head shape is slightly different. We have a lot of common things that are very similar, but not everything is identical unless you're an identical twin.
And still, you can sometimes tell.
Yeah. So I brought my face frame up by doing that. Can you see this, me?
This or this?
No, this way. We're on this side, sweetheart. So
I knew that, totally.
So that'll be the shortest point. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pivot off that central point at the apex, and I'm going to bring sections into the previous. So 2 is going to go into number 1. So before I do that, this elevation that we just cut number 1 at, right? It stopped about there, didn't it? Because that's where the hairline is. So as I cut each section now, guys, I'm never going to drop below that part on that round of the head shape so that I don't cut into all of this. So let's go back. Number 2 is going into number 1.
Rounding off that front section makes the face frame shorter. Does it do anything else?
I went shorter, so I'm just doing a shorter version of what I previously had. So if you're shorter here and longer here, then that is a round shape. The face frame is now coming in by me using this elevation. I'm bringing number 2 into number 1. So now by doing that, let's calm that down. And I can see I'm getting heavier. So I'm starting to frame the face by not doing it this way, by doing it up here.
Jonah!
What's up, Jonah?
Angel says hi to Jonah.
Oh, lovely.
I know. She can speak now.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 is now my guide, not 1. I'll bring 2 off the head and I bring 3 into 2. Like so. I can see that.
What is this haircut called?
Round concave layers. This entire tutorial has been variations on round concave layering. So I've showed you about 3 alternate ways right now of doing a round concave layer, so that you can switch it up and you can, you know, basically learn which one's probably better than the other in certain situations based on density and what length you want it to be. So I'm pivoting around with the haircut and I'm pushing forward into the previous section. So I'm cutting a round concave layer.
Do you like round concave layers, Angel?
Everybody loves round concave layers.
Yes.
It's the #1 haircut in the world. It's what most moms have. When you see them drop off their kids at school and pick them up. The yoga pant community. It's true though, isn't it?
I mean,
You
yeah.
have to have a coffee cup and a coffee mug and a yoga pants if you're in La Jolla. Okay, so let's do a little cross check.
Your name is Mr. Marvelous Muldoon.
My name.
Yes.
Thank you. So I've pivoted all the way through that bit, right? So I've got a cross check. So to cross check, I've got to go this way through it to see what happened with that movement. So I'm looking for it to get heavier towards the back. So I cross check it. Come over above my shoulder, babe, so you can see this line better.
Ooh, yeah.
So you can see, guys, my line short to long. That's from that pushing forward into the previous with these radial or pivoting sections. A lot of people can struggle with the idea of what pivoting is. Think of a clock.
Jonah's probably learning so much about hair.
Yeah. Should be able to do it soon.
Oh yeah, Jonah.
All of you and your friends. So all the way through, that's what's happened, short to long towards the back. So now all I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to continue into the back. So I take my next section. So again, we're pivoting off the apex. Staying clean, very important.
Is this way of doing round layers more round through the top, and the other two are more flat on the top?
Yeah, these are truly, this way is a true round layer. You're working with the round of the head to begin with, and that's your guide, that's what you're cutting, and then I'm just pivoting around. So definitely a lot more fluid of a layer this way than the other ways I showed you. This is the evolution of what those other 2 versions were. Those other 2 versions are what I used to do all the time. This is what I do now. This is the version that I put in the Paul Mitchell cutting system. So you can see I'm just trying to remain clean with my sectioning so that I put the hair in the right place. I keep pivoting off the right spot so it is fluid. If you don't pivot from the right place and consistently from the right spot, then you can't imagine this to be, or expect, this to be fluid.
Angel likes round layers.
She should.
She's very vocal about it too. But it's like not loud.
So forward into the previous, all the way around. Come over here so they can see that over direction.
Imagine if we had a cockatoo.
Too loud, trust me. Been
Oh
there,
my
done
gosh, they'd be so loud. They're obnoxious. They're lovely. They're sweet, but they also scream.
that. Yeah.
I'm
So I've worked all the way around. Pushing into the previous section. And that's given me a nice round concave layer. Fluid all the way through. So we'll do a little check this way. and I can see the continuation of it getting longer towards the back. So that is pure round concave layering by using a pivot technique all the way around. So on this side, we're going to switch it up. We're going to do convex.
Hairbird.
So this side we've got concave, this side I'm going to do convex. I was going to do the exact same haircut on both sides, but again, you just saw me do that, so you know to do the same thing on the other side. What's up there?
Why shorter in the front, longer in the back? Is round and shorter in the back, longer in the front? Is triangular?
Yes, round is lighter, shorter in the front, longer and heavier in the back.
What's the real difference?
Who says that? You?
No.
The real difference between round and triangular. Round opens up, triangular pushes forward. Weight goes back, it opens this up. Weight goes forward, closes it in. That's the difference between round and triangular. So now we're going to do convex on this side. So come on over. Get my guide, same exact thing on this side.
Your explanations are great. Staying up super late every night to watch this. Thank you.
Are you in Europe?
I'm guessing.
Yeah, it must be. We usually go on around like 11 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, which is England.
I didn't know what that meant, but
It
yeah.
means it's the centre of the universe, basically. It's where time comes from.
Oh, yeah, didn't they make
Zero.
that? Didn't they make that the thing? Cause yeah.
Anyway, I'm just kidding.
Cause it's the center of the universe.
Just pride right there. So now I'm moving, and I'm going to push 2 into number 1.
Oh, don't worry. We always save the videos to watch later.
Actually, I'm not going to use any over direction. I'm going to follow this all the way around. That's my guide, and I'm using that first one.
It's midnight in Germany.
Yes, that is right. We're ahead of the UK.
Oh yeah, the person that's staying up super late to watch it is Glasgow.
Glasgow, Scotland.
Yeah.
Are we Rangers or are we Celtic?
I don't know. In Copenhagen, it's 1 a.m., but it's worth it.
Do you want to know where Copenhagen is, me? Denmark.
I know. I used to want to go. I don't.
So now, guys, I'm doing more of a convex layer. I'm actually following all the way down
It was part of my favorite
to show
book.
you the difference between concave and convex.
From like 3rd grade to 5th grade, it was in my favorite book, and I wanted to go.
So it might cut out again. Remember, we only have an hour on these.
Oh
things.
yeah.
So if it does, we'll just go right back into another one.
So don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. So convex means to follow the head shape. So I'm going all the way down. All the way up. So the last section on this side. Actually, no, that's too big. Same thing. So I'm pivoting around, but I'm not using any over direction. I'm not pushing the hair forward into anything.
Are you pushing it into the previous?
No. No movement forward or backwards, just straight out from the head and using the piece of my previous as my guide. If I push forward into the previous, I will get longer towards the back. I'm just going to allow this to be more head shape. Last bit. So today's tutorial, today's class wasn't really about just doing one specific haircut. It was actually a technique. So showing you variations and things to look out for and be observant of when you're working around layers. You know, whether you want to start on the inside or you want to start on the outside first. Whether you want to cut convex or whether you want to cut concave. In our next tutorial, we will visit triangular layers.
Won't this be longer toward the back since it's round?
Well, if you look at the hairline, guys, it drops. So even if I didn't use over direction, this is going to drop as well. So I don't have to over direct for it to get longer in the back. I have to over direct for it to get heavier towards the back. Cross-checking through, and I can see that it's rounded. That's what I'm looking for. That tells me I'm following head shape. So this shape is head shape, which in this case she has a roundish head shape.
When would you choose convex for long hair like this?
Convex is going to give you more fullness. So remember, hair cutting is the distribution of weight. So there's two sides to weight. There's big and there's skinny, right? So there's a bigger layer and there's a skinnier layer. So the skinnier layer is going to be concave, whereas the bigger layer, is convex. So let's say you're working on somebody that has a finer, not fine hair, but a finer texture of hair. Maybe convex is better than concave. Constantly looking for my guide, and also making sure I'm not over directing the hair forward here, so I'm having to move with this haircut.
What kind of clips do you use?
These are Wyeth Park clips. I think they're known as the shark clip, and I get that from Hairbrained.
I call them alligator clips.
Alligator clips.
I used to put them on my
Could be, right?
I used to put them on my fingers.
They're not good for working on dry hair, so when you get to that part of the haircut where you're refining at the end, you don't want to use these. Like if you're trying to flat iron the hair, this is not a good clip for that at the end. I tend to use this kind of a clip for when we do like the flat ironing, so it doesn't put any crease on the hair.
In the salon when I was little, I'd put them on my fingers and pretend they were nails.
Yeah.
And then I'd chase you.
See, I did a lot of the similar things as you did, because I grew up in the salon too.
Mm-hmm.
So, continuing guys, are we still going?
Yeah.
Wow.
What time did we start?
Like 3:10.
3:10. Oh, it's 4:03. So.
We better hurry up.
7 minutes. Not to
This is
stress
where
you.
you cut yourself if you try and rush. So I'm just going to keep going, normal pace. And if it cuts out, we'll just do another one.
Not to stress you, but it's like 7. Sounds like my teachers. I don't want to put any stress on you, but you have a 9-page essay due tomorrow.
That she told
With
you about
ELA
months ago, but
citation. No, this.
Okay, so concentrate. Trying to remain clean so I know exactly where I am in relation to the haircut. So I pivoted on both sides. One side I've done a concave layer and I've used an over direction. On this side I've done a convex layer and I've not used any over direction.
These are the other clips again.
The metal silver ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's you can get all the good stuff like that from Hairbrained, guys. That's my go-to place. So I'm on the last bit now, babe. Again, I just need the previous section. I don't need all of that. Stay clean, Daniel. Here we go. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, just kind of going back down into basics of round layering. Very salon, which is English for salon. Friendly haircuts. Did you like that one?
Mm-hmm.
So a mirror would be great because I could see all that angle all the way through.
There are some words that I grew up you saying them in a certain way,
Yeah.
and then I just realized that it's the same word as another word.
Yeah, basically. All right, so let's do this. Let me show everybody. So I've got a round convex layer on this side. Obviously the length changes because of how you cut that. And then on this side, we've got long round concave. So I'm going to blow dry, see some of the difference between both sides. Thanks for joining us again today, guys. So round layers was today's class. We'll be back on Friday with me and Angel, and we'll be doing triangular layers. So see you later. Thanks a lot. Bye. Thanks, me. Love you.